Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I'm Adam Steele for Chernobyl Studios, and joining me today one more time is Mr. Scott Elliott from Chernobyl Studios. How are you doing, my dude?
It's so happy to be here. It's fine. I'm doing good. How are you?
I am well. Thank you. So, for those who know and do not know, Scott mixes extreme metal. That is what he does. And after these intro cards, we will talk all about Scott's new course, where he is doing exactly that and showing you everything that entails. So, Scott, I'm supposed to ask you a series of leading questions and you fill in all the blanks.
I don't know if we can do this.
Oh, stay with me. Stay with me. We can do this.
This is not the script that we wrote.
We certainly did write an entire script. Although I've never seen it.
How many pages is this thing? This is 4 pages. You even have the bathroom break written down in here.
Yeah, although I'm not doing the bathroom break in the same room. That could be awkward. Oh.
Well, we don't have any proof of that, so I'll just take your word for it.
Well, we have the cameras, but let's... Anyway.
Right.
So,
sure.
Like I said in the intro, Scott mixes extreme metal for a living. We're talking like fast, epic, choirs, double bass, all that kind of stuff. Stuff that is quite honestly beyond what I tend to do. I do mix some metal stuff, but I have surprisingly little experience at the real extreme end of things. And extreme really is the name of the game, isn't it? You don't do the things you would normally do.
Yeah. I mean, the name of the course, mixing extreme metal, it's got like a double meaning. So the song we're working on is not necessarily extreme. I mean, it's not like 280 BPM and like double kick hits everywhere. But it is extreme in the fact that it's got blast. Okay, it's got blast beats. It's got double bass. It's got a gravity blast, which is basically a one-handed snare roll.
Oh, the tickle blast, as I call it.
Yeah, so that's a good name for it. Doubled rhythm guitars, doubled melody guitars with harmonies, a solo. Okay, 3 main tracks of vocals, gang vocals. And then choral vocals, and just lots of elements in the mix where the extreme aspect of it is like, okay, first of all, where do I begin? Yeah. And then how do I put all this together? Because just because I have, if you have 5 tracks or 20 tracks, they still have to fit in the same audio spectrum. Yeah. So the things that you have to do would be more extreme insofar as, we need to do a much deeper cut here, or we need to really pay attention to what's happening here, whereas if you had a bit of a more loose rock song, no one's going to care if, the kick drums maybe a tad more fluffy than it should be, stuff like that, because, bass frequencies would have the room to open up and move and cycle and all this stuff, whereas metal, you got, kick drums that are going all the time, plus bass all the time, and then detuned guitars all the time, so what do you do and how do you do that and why, and that's what the idea of this course is. And if I can continue, mixing extreme metal, it's literally one small part of this course. I would really want to make sure that you and everyone understands that it's literally not just opening up a session and going, okay, so here on the bass drum, I did, and just going through my plugins. This goes from A to Z, as in I get the tracks from the musicians. I open them and I go, here are the drums, completely raw. They're not phase aligned. We need to fix this. So from the very, very beginning, like, we don't need all of these drum kick microphones. We can just delete those. Yeah, we can consolidate these tracks because editing these will be a pain in the ass. Yeah. Yes, I show you how to edit them as well. We go through editing, pointers on how to edit. So everything that it takes to produce a song, which, on the internet, many people have developed entire courses just for editing drums or editing audio. Yeah. And I'm doing it all right here. All because if you're gonna mix your own stuff or you're working on the material you want to grow, you have to know how to do it. Right. Or at least what to look for. Like if you're getting a drum stem back and you're listening to it, you should go, no, that's not gonna fly. redo it, or you just have to make a mental note like, I got to replace that somehow. It's just not going to work.
Yeah.
Same thing with DI guitars. This is clipping, redo it.
Yeah.
Bass, vocals. This is all distorted to hell. Redo it. Before you would even get in the mixing phase and be like, and then realize like, well, shit. What do I do now?
Yeah.
So A to Z, that was a really long-winded answer, but feel free to ask detailed questions, but I just really wanted to put that in there. It's not just, let's go mixing, guys. It's a complete, full-on A to Z, absolute raw beginning to, I even show you how to create a mastering session to ship off to a mastering engineer, for example. So, and everything in between. It's over 10 hours long. So you'll have a good time.
Some serious content. Yeah. It's funny the number of times that people send me a mix to go, what do you think of this? And the first thing that I hear is, you've not edited this. I'll hear guitars that are supposed to go j j j j that go j j, and there's that noise in the middle,
Yep.
or drums where there's the flubby stuff, or the toms haven't been properly cut out, but before I've said anything, someone else has replied, and then the original post is saying, oh, but I EQ'd this and compressed this and parallel did this, and it's like, whoa, fundamentals.
Right. It doesn't matter. If it's noisy in the beginning and then you compress it, you're just making it worse.
Yeah.
But what I really realized in the beginning, when I was trying to earnestly do this, it was like, oh yeah, I want to be a good mixer. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, in order to be a good mixer, you have to understand all the phases of the tracking just the entire musical journey of how a song needs to be done, right? You have to understand it all.
Yeah.
And I came to realize, like, a lot of these courses that people are doing mixing songs, which are fine, by the way. I'm not digging the courses. I'm not, dunking on the courses. What I mean is that a lot of these dudes have assistants that do all that technical work for them. All right? But they still understand what is happening. If they walked in and heard raw drums, they could be like, that's crap. You need to redo this section. Because, it's just easier to redo it at that stage.
Yeah.
Then later on be like, I got to edit this. And there's nothing wrong with editing. All right? And, editing drums. I show you how to do that. Editing multi-track drums with blast beats, double bass, a gravity blast. Okay, I show you how to do this. But the key is it's all done manually with slip editing. So there's no algorithms that literally will be like, okay, here's the zero crossing point, chunk, exactly on time. So you can go through it manually and just sort of like, yeah, it looks good. Looks good. Looks good. There's never once where I zoom in all the way and be like, here's the zero crossing point. Perfect.
Well, it's funny.
Doesn't matter.
I find that when you edit things manually, you can keep feel. Do you know what I mean?
Of course. Yeah, of course, because what you're doing. So for example, if you're going to do this like beat detective style, which means you are looking at the kick, the snare, generally the hi-hat, and maybe the overheads if you have nothing else going on. Everything gets just whoop, right? And one of the best, and what's so important when editing drums, in extreme metal, is the feel.
Yeah.
Which comes pretty much from the ride cymbal and the hi-hat. Because the idea is when you're playing, you got kick drums, which are triggered, which they are in this course as well. I completely replaced them because it's silly to have a real kick drum.
But you did start with real kick drum and appraised it and decided with reason that it wasn't appropriate for what you were doing. So it wasn't just it was...
No. There was a real kick there. You can try it if you want. You're going to realize pretty quick, like, this isn't going to work. Because it's just like a fluffy pillow when you're trying to play that fast. It just doesn't happen. Just
to clarify, when you say I can try it, so the course comes with the tracks, right?
Everything.
Wow.
And when I say everything, I literally mean everything. And if I could have put a kitchen sink into the zip file, you would have gotten the kitchen sink as well.
Kitchen
you
sink.
Get all of the raw, right. Just get in there. You get all of the original raw drum files to include. If it was two snare top mics. The left, I think it's either 3 or 4 kick mics. I don't remember anymore. Plus, you get triggers from the drummer, right? Then all the toms. And then there's a left-right overhead, a left-right room, and a second pair of room. So there's a crap ton of
ton of tracks to delete.
Stems there, right? But I mean, that's the other thing too. In the beginning, I would have been like, "Oh wow, I got a lot of drum roll," and now I'm like, "How can I consolidate this?" Right?
Right.
How can I make the amount of tracks that I have now less?
Right.
Because less is literally more, and these are all technical details that we as mixers we don't think about it because we're always like EQ.
Yeah.
And then, well, the EQ would be easier if you didn't have 3 snare microphones.
Yeah, I guess. But then I suppose in
Well, I mean,
extreme
in the
metal, that's very much the case. For what I do, it's a little different, but you still have to be very, very aware.
So the thing is like if you get the 3 snare microphones, there's more variables, is what I mean.
Yes,
you gotta be sharing phase with each other and the overheads.
Yes, it's very
And
fair
then-
to say that there be dragons, and especially with extreme
Right.
stuff, I can
Yeah.
see how even the slightest bit of bleed on there is going to cause problems quickly.
Well, that's one of the things that this course talks about because the hi-hats, there's some, I don't remember the company that he uses. They sound fine, but they're just everywhere.
Yeah, that's hi-hats.
Everywhere. Yeah, hi-hats are, you just can't escape it. There's nothing you can do. But I do show you in the course how to minimize them significantly, but not completely neuter them. Because I do want to make it very clear that I'm not using samples in the way that most people do, i.e. slate trigger and just throw on like kick 10 or snare 12. I'm using samples, but these are samples that the drummer recorded of his drum kit after he recorded the song for me. So what I'm doing is I'm going like, oh man, these 5 snare hits. Well, this happened later on in the course. When I'm like, I can't do anything with this. So I just took 4 or 5 snare hits that were sampled for me and manually just plopped them in there.
Right.
It's still the same snare. You know what I mean?
But it just takes the bleed away for that space
Yeah,
of
it
time.
takes the bleed away, and then you can deal with everything. Same kind of concept with the toms, but I mean these are the extreme principles of what I mean. Where you would never think to do that if you got a nice big open, just even a heavy rock band. Why would you do that? That's where all the ambience comes from the drum kit. You want to have that flavor in there. You know what I mean? Mixing extreme metal, you don't. You want to keep that stuff tight. It's a different mindset, right? And the ambience will actually come from like adding copious amounts of reverb, more than you think.
Yeah.
More than you think.
I've seen extreme metal engineers where they actually have like a separate microphone for every cymbal that's like, super close and no overheads.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not going to be the case here.
Yeah,
but
that's incredible. I mean, again, you said the dragons with the snare drum. That's dragons as well because more microphones, more problems, more issues.
Oh yeah.
If you can just get 2 nice overheads positioned nicely, they're always going to sound better than all these individual. But I mean, in the hi-hat, and because the hi-hat and the rag microphones, I use them where I think of them to be positional.
Right.
I want to make sure that these things are over here or over here, but they're generally pretty low in the mix because they're way more abrasive and harsh than the overhead microphones.
Right.
But I mean, that's all well and good. I mean, after you edit the drums, you need to know how to consolidate them properly. You need to know how to strip silence them properly, like what Adam was mentioning with the toms.
Yes.
Editing, because editing does not mean you just edit and put it on the grid and you're done with it.
No.
It means you need to think about like what can I remove that'll help my sound be better. A lot of the drum bleed and tom microphones useless.
Yes.
It's super useless. I mean, there's a case sometimes where you can have spot microphones that just sound nice, so you don't cut that stuff out.
Yeah, but it's very, very
Sometimes
rare
you
in extreme
can
stuff.
Yeah. So, but then here in this course, we discuss that. Every single step. So you go from the beginning raw, completely raw.
Right.
Then you go to where you're consolidated, you're edited up, you're tight, sounds good, and then you bounce them out.
Right.
Into the session, right? And then, again, you get the DI files from the bass guitar. You get the DI files from all the rhythm guitars.
Right.
Okay. we open up everything. I discuss, what you want to look for with the guitars. Obviously, double track guitars. I super don't like editing guitars. I will bother someone to re-record guitars over and over and over again, because I just don't like editing guitars. I guess it's maybe hypocritical for me to be like, I'll edit drums, but I mean guitars, screw that.
Well, it's last resort, isn't it? If the drummer has done the best they can, then you edit from
it's also significantly harder to play drums. I mean, okay, hold on, time out before John Brown calls me.
Yeah, Scott makes epic suggestion that guitar is easy.
Yeah, I just meant in.
Well, yeah, once the guitar cabinet's mic'd up, it's a single source. I know what you mean.
Correct.
That, because you've got so many multiple mics and sources and all that kind of things on a drum kit, it's much more difficult to shift a certain thing or just...
Well, because you got to do everything together, right? And we discussed that. Why? I mean, there are a couple of life hacks with editing you can do sometimes, but I mean, like if you got a sample, which the drummer recorded a sample with his kick drum. And I decided to just delete the original kick microphones. Yeah, I do have the freedom to move just the kick drum over a little bit. But you still have to be wary that now the sample kick drum has been moved, but the original kick and the overhead is right where it was. So we have to have these discussions all the time, like ebb and flow, give and take, and it's not as simple as snare transient, edit, kick transient, edit, ... There's seriously an art, like what Adam said, to keep the flow of the drums, because you will go to it and you'll be like, all right, so the hi-hat is a little bit early.
Yeah.
Kick drum is late.
How do we do
drum
this?
Is late. So do I want to move these 3 hits all together, or am I going to do the hi-hat and I'm going to do the 2 snare hits? Or you know what I mean? So you get faster at that, of course, but that's why the natural feel usually tends to be intact with hand-edited drums, because you have a person going, you know what? The hi-hat is way more important here. Let the kick drum be a couple milliseconds off. It's not that big of a deal.
It's funny that when you say do it manually, it's not even that simple, is it? But it's the art. If you're showing the art in this course, that's absolutely that's absolutely priceless.
So to be fair, this is really the person who did the course. She did all the work.
She's our manual editing expert.
Yep, she was the one that did the drum editing.
Oh.
All right, Mia, you're famous now. All right.
I get this from my daughter all the time. She comes and insists that I play guitar on stream. She's very cute, busy.
I love you.
So I noticed that in the course outline, because typical Scott, he's prepared, he's actually sent me a course outline that's several pages long, and that's not a joke. That's actually on one of my screens right now. I wish I was that organised. There's create aggressive, big-sounding metal vocals that are in your face. Now that comes with its own set of problems, doesn't it?
Okay, so, and I want to also preface, I forgot to mention this, that all of the musicians that help me are just home musicians. I didn't go to some big fancy studio. The guy who recorded the drums, Kevin Paradis, he's drummer for Benighted. Super amazing freaking drummer. Just records it in his room. He's got a really nice setup, of course, but I mean, it's not, we didn't go anywhere. I paid him. He did it for me.
Is that the drummer that you sent me a clip of a little while ago?
Yeah.
Oh, he's good.
Same dude.
Oh, yes.
Same dude.
Yeah, that guy was good.
Tim, he did all the vocals and the bass. Okay? He's from Florida. I've known that guy for like 20 years. Awesome, good guy. Tim Wilson. Super amazing, very talented dude. Did all the vocals at his house, And then Alberto Fuentes, he helped me do all the orchestral arrangement stuff. Again, working from his house. So all it takes is just to have talented people, and you can create a song, right?
Yeah.
So with the vocals, right? So Tim did highs, mids, lows, gang vocals, all right?
Right.
And he did a series of choral vocals, which turned out to be 25 different tracks that all have to be consolidated down, which I show you exactly how to do, all right?
25.
And pan them all out. So, well, I mean, what ended up happening, it was like I chose 5 lows, 5 like lower lows, and then panned them out, and then bounced them. So you end up with 4 stereo stems basically instead of 25 tracks. But wait, I go through all of that. Yep, I go through all of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, not everybody's going to have the kind of computer that can handle 25 vocals plus a full mix. So it's
true.
definitely worth
very true.
talking about that.
And in my early days, I was like, oh my God, more tracks the better. Oh, look how cool I am. And then you realize, God, scrolling sucks. Or, Jesus, how many tracks can I get on my screen,
Yeah.
And then you want to really consolidate because, again, it goes back to the point that I make, like, do you want 3 snare mics where you have extra variables to always keep in mind? Or you just want to make some decisions so you can forget about that and then, move on to the simpler problems to solve.
Right.
So, I mean, what the whole point of that was home recording means you deal with home recording problems, i.e., frequency problems, whistling, harmonics that just you wouldn't get in a nice professionally treated room. Okay.
Yeah.
Vocals especially.
Also,
the
vocalists are not necessarily going to have the microphone that you would want them to have.
That, and they're also not going to be, again, in a super vocal compliant room.
Yeah.
Because people might have that, the thing in the front, the isolator, right? They might have the isolator here.
Yeah.
But then they forget that it bounces back off the wall back into the microphone.
Yeah.
So then you end up getting the frequency overload anyway, which basically kind of happened on 2 or 3 particular notes that Tim would sing.
Right.
And you're just literally going like, how do I fix this, right? And that's it. We talk about that, right? And so there's many steps that come into aggressive vocals. So you got highs, mids, and lows. You figure out, okay, what kind of balance do I want? Like what's going to be the main vocal like range here, right? And then they all need different processing a little bit. You can run them through, I ran them through the same bus, I think. It's like through the same compressor. But I mean, they all require something a little bit different.
Right.
Okay. And the best part is you're going to have to freaking automate them later on because highs don't have the same energy as, guttural lows or mids. So you got to get in there and you really got to start extreme things, looking at every little syllable like, okay, he starts off pretty loud, and then it just dribbles down, and then you just make an automation point that basically matches it, so it keeps it level, so it's level with all 3 other tracks, right?
Yeah, because you can't compress it to death.
These are the minute details.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, compressing it to death, at some point, eventually, it's
well, it starts to bring out the negative room sound and everything. Yeah, it causes more problems than it fixes at some point. So yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah, and that's exactly it. And volume automation is so powerful, and that's one of the things that I never took advantage of for a long time. But just one of those things where extreme mixing, right?
Yeah.
That's what would be classified as extreme because you go phrase by phrase, and you have to listen to it not only in context of the vocals, but in context of what's happening in the mix.
Yeah.
What's going on, and so yeah, I mean it's very a lot of details here, and I don't want people to get scared like, oh my God, I'm not ready for this. You're absolutely ready for it.
Yeah.
And in fact, you need to mix a song like this because if you don't push yourself and you don't stress yourself out at least a little bit, or try to solve problems that you've never had before, you're I don't want to sound mean, but I mean you're just going to be stuck in preset land. Like, hey, just give me a vocal preset so I can make my vocal sound good.
Yeah, and then you wonder why they don't actually sound good. Yeah,
right. Because the ironic thing is, and I made this point about my previous guitar tone mastery course, presets are okay only when you understand what you need to do with them.
Yeah.
Okay, the preset gets you 80% of the way there. I got to adjust here. Good, great. Same. That's always the same for mixing. Yeah, you can do a preset where you boost your kick drum a certain way, but it's not going to work every single song. You got to get back in there, right? But I mean, that's where the stress. If you stress yourself out and try to do something you haven't done before, I think like this particular course where you go A to Z with a track that has a lot of unique situations that you have to deal with. I'm fairly certain, you would grow and solve new problems. And the thing is, when you solve new problems, that's where the creativity comes from, where someone might be like, you know what? what the hell would Soothe sound like on guitars, for example?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where, because your brain just makes this weird connection, like, I used Soothe on overheads for some harshness. That seemed to work out pretty well. Fuck it, let's put it on guitar, see what happens. I mean, that's what happens. So just through experience and stressing yourself and trying new things and solving new problems, you just make connections in your brain where you just do silly stuff like throwing Soothe on guitars.
Yeah.
It's a simple example. Everyone should put Soothe on guitars because Soothe is awesome on high gain guitars. A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. But I mean, we also have, understanding compressors. And speaking of compressors on vocals, I'm reading some more of my bullet points on my 4-page document here that I created.
It's a hell of a document.
But I mean, it's nice, man. It's really nice. But I mean, we talk about what's the extra 10% in a mix, right? You've got like a really good mix, for example. It's pumping, it thumps, but you listen back sometimes to other mixes and you're like,
yeah,
what the hell am I missing? And what you're missing, ironically, are dynamics.
Yeah.
Dynamics. So I show you how you can introduce new dynamics using sound effects.
Yeah.
Cinematic sound effects, not like sub drops.
Yeah.
But I mean, like battle sequences, thunderclaps.
Right.
Just even like a trailer. I have some trailer contact libraries where you do risers and all these things. I just show you how you can do subtle things where, oh man, this impact just seems to hit harder right here.
Yeah.
That makes the song sound more dynamic and more interesting because that is a super big problem that you can run into with doing extreme metal where it's just super sterilized because everything has to be in its spot and it's just like a brick, for the whole album. And that's why you listen to 2 or 3 songs of a band sometimes and you're like, well, I mean, it's a good song, but Jesus, this is boring.
Yeah.
Because the dynamics are missing. Not because the music sucks, just like it'd be cool, like,
nothing new caught your attention in the past 10 minutes. Yeah. Yeah,
and so we talk about that, and it's very important. Yeah, I mean, plus you can really differentiate different parts of the song that maybe repeat. You can have a sub drop, or something like that, where it leads into something kind of heavy. And you can not have the sub drop next time, or you can have a glass shatter or something like that. But I mean, these things matter, even subconsciously. Yeah,
well, it's all about catching the ear. And if you don't if you do the same thing again, you're not going to catch the ear a second time. That's
correct.
It's the art of catching the ear.
That's why it's important to differentiate, guitar riffs. Like, John was talking about on your stream. If you're repeating guitar riffs, the second time around, you can throw a harmony on there or, just do a little bit of a ditty that changes it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly the same.
I always have to be very careful not to get all those crazy ideas to add everything on and do that in the first time.
And you're like, oh, crap. Yeah. And you got to deconstruct it out for 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah. And then you get into the conversation of what actually is the essence of this chorus or whatever. And, oh, boy. But...
I mean, yeah. That's a whole different philosophical discussion.
Yeah,
maybe a little bit of whiskey in a live stream.
A little bit of whiskey and a large amount of whiskey. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know the video is getting long in the tooth here. I mean, I can TLDR it basically. I mean,
yes.
It's this course, mixing extreme metal. It's beyond just a basic, fader mixing, going through the ABCs. Here's what I did and why. You can too. It's every single thing that it takes to go from absolute basic 0 of a song in this style to sending it off for mastering and everything in between. So it's like I said, it's 10 hours, and you literally get everything that you see in the video. You get all of the Keybase, all of the Keybase sessions.
You get all of Keybase.
All of the, I mean, because some people are like, you get the mix session. No, I'm sending you all of the pre-pro sessions that I did, all the drum editing sessions that I did, all of the choral vocal editing sessions that I did, the actual mix session. I think the only thing I'm not going to give you is the mastering session because it was just I didn't even save it. It was just a demonstration session, I think. I don't remember anymore.
Right.
It's been a while since I recorded that, since we're doing this.
Yes.
But I mean, all of those sessions where you can load it up, provided you have all the same plugins, there's a PDF file in the course explaining every single plugin that I use. It's like 15. All right, it's not a lot. Made a lot of liberal use of virtual Slate bundle, actually. Slate virtual bundle.
The very affordable, the very affordable Slate bundle.
That is memeable, guys. I want to see that one in the comments.
Very affordable.
Derp. You get but not only that, of course you get the multi-tracks that appear in the mix session, but you also get all of the raw tracks, meaning you get the raw drums without being untouched. You get the original MIDI file that Alberto sent me of the. You get the orchestral session, by the way, where I put all the MIDI orchestral into soft synths and stuff like that and exported it.
Right.
Everything is exported, so you don't require to have the same libraries that I do. You get everything.
That's great.
All right, you can just load it up. Everything's in WAV format, good to go for you. You can use it ever you want. You get all that. You get the MIDI file. I even created a MIDI tempo track for you. You can just pop it into your DAW. It'll load up the kick and all the markers and all the tempo files. And you get all my program preferences for Cubase. You get all my key commands for Cubase, which I spent a long time thinking about how to do it.
Wow.
Which means you can change all the grid settings with your hand. You can export, add tracks, add groups, add folders, all with your hands without having to go through the folder trees.
Nice.
One thing I forgot to mention is for all of the guitar tones, I have saved all those into presets, and I give you those as well.
Oh wow!
So if you have any of the VSTs that I used, just some neural stuff. I think I used Nameless.
Oh yeah.
I used Pliny and Abasi.
Ah.
There's a reason why. That's how you differentiate your guitar tones. We haven't talked about guitars a lot, unfortunately, but
that almost goes unsaid, doesn't it?
Yeah, but this course is just too huge, guys. If we sat down and discussed every aspect of this thing, it would be like an hour long. There's no reason to do that.
By which point everybody would have gone and bought the course.
Yeah, all those presets are saved for you. You get those and exclusive Discord. Exclusive Discord. Only for people who are in the course. I did a Facebook group for Guitar Tone Mastery, but a lot of people just are not up on Facebook. I'm pretty tired of Facebook myself. And Discord is just way easier because instant feedback. You can leave a comment, you can upload a file, or leave a link, and boom. It's curated, so there's no trolls, no silliness. You can just because you need to be around other people who are doing the same thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
Nice. And of course I'm there. All right. And yeah. But and you get PDFs of, like I said, what I did was I created a PDF of a checklist, i.e. every single step that I do in order from beginning to end. So that if you've watched the series a couple times, the tutorial a couple times, and you're mixing and you just want to refresh yourself, you can be like, oh, this, okay, got it, I remember now. So it's all nice there in written format, way easier to just pull up a PDF instead of like, oh my God, what video was that? And what point of the video was it? I don't remember. So way more accessible that way. And I'm going to follow suit with Guitar Tone Mastery. Anything that I add to the course in the future will be free.
Awesome.
All right? I don't see any reason why not to do that. It's just want to help people learn how to do this. And don't let the name fool you. Mixing extreme metal, okay. There's a lot of unique things that you just won't deal with, in rock music or country or just stuff like that.
Yeah,
that could really help you if you were mixing a genre like that. So yeah, that's that.
Absolutely. So everybody, if you are into extreme metal, if you want to be an extreme metal engineer, go get the course. There is a link in the description. Right now, the course is on sale, so I have an affiliate link there, and that helps me out, helps Scott out. Everybody gets helped out because you get good mixes, we get to eat and look after our little children, and we will hopefully be back with more.
That's what we should do next time. Next time we have, we're trying to promote something, we should just say, your daughter should be on the camera, my daughter should be on the camera, but it'll be our voices.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, would you really not help my daddy pay bills?
You got me thinking now, but YouTube would be very, very angry with us.
Oh, shit. I forgot about YouTube there. But yeah. All right, cut that part out.
Right.
Just cut that.
Not cutting that out.
It was funny, though.
But anyway.
Adam, do you have any questions?
No further questions, Your Honour. We've had quite enough of the questioning. This has been quite the interview. But it's always good to talk to you, Scott, and it's always good to see that you're doing good things.
Man.
I, for one, will be getting this course, and I will
Appreciate
be taking the time to watch this, because I will bet you I will learn something.
I hope so, man. I always feel kind of silly, when I come on your channel, because it's like, hey, my name, they're the audio interface, and then you're like completely way beyond me, in technical. It's actually pretty impressive to see this, like, how knowledgeable you are with a lot of actual hardware, physical gear. And like I said, you helped me a lot when I was crafting the Guitar Tone Mastery thing. You helped me understand the physical aspects of a speaker way better, so I could start to visualize how to do it in the virtual world. And it's no different. Like the Sono that's sitting here, watched your video to learn how to use it. But I mean, really, really, I'm always very humbled to even just be on your channel, because I understand just incredibly just how knowledgeable you are in just the field of music and hardware, and it's pretty awesome, and I really, really appreciate the chance to come on here and chat about what I've created. And honestly, I really, really hope to get your honest opinion about it when you've been able to sit through and finish it. Whenever you have 10 free hours,
but I will watch it in parts, I'm sure, and just sneak an hour here, an hour there, in amongst the maelstrom of madness. But yes, it's always a pleasure to have you on, and I'm serious. I'll probably learn stuff from your course, because I like to learn new things wherever I can, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So,
all right, man. Thanks a lot, dude. It was really awesome. We need to connect more again.
Well, now that the course is ready, you can probably breathe for a minute.
Yeah, man, that was a lot of work. But I mean, no, it was really fulfilling. I'm very proud of the result, and I'm really looking forward to helping people just understand what it really takes. And I mean, no stone unturned, as they would say. And I think people are really going to find a lot of value from it. And I'm really looking forward to hearing what people do, because that's always the most interesting thing. People sending me their guitar tones. Hey, man, here's what it was before. Here's what it is now.
Wow, yeah.
That's an incredible result, man. And that's really what it's all about. So can't wait to see people in the Discord be like, dude, I started here, and now here's where I'm at. It's going to be like...
Well, it'll be worth it. So anyway, thank you for coming on, Scott,
man.
and we'll see you all very soon.
Cheers, dude.
Goodbye, everybody. Hey, everyone. That might be the end of the video, but if you fancy carrying on this conversation, we have a Discord server. Link is in the description. We're also on Patreon, which is something you can really help us with. We also are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Chernobyl Studios. See you there.